All right, guys, we're back. Today was an amazing day, and we have a big announcement at the end of this little rainbow. But
Oh,
for the next 5 minutes, we're going to tell you something that changed the entire county, and it happened all right here today. And it was directed by Miss Araya.
okay.
So tell her the little story and how the city asked for some help, and then you just jumped in there and orchestrated all the power teams together and had this great meeting today, and we made huge moves forward.
Well, as everyone knows, we passed the tiny home ordinance here last September. Well, as you should know by now if you've been paying attention to us. So yeah, we have the ordinance here, which is amazing. It's one of the best ones in the
Already.
country. It's already like 90% awesome. And the president of the Tiny Home Industry Association, who's written most of the ordinances, wrote most of the ordinances that ours was drafted off of. Um, he reviewed it for us and he said ours is really strong, and there's only a few minor corrections that he would suggest if we're even going to mess with it at all. And then, so since we had a meeting with him a few months back, there's been a little bit more research and work done in the city, and uh, I guess they're ready to move forward with some recommended updates and amendments to the ordinance that we have, especially with all the other local municipalities coming forward and looking to Mount Shasta as being a leader in this movement and creating solutions. So everyone is kind of looking to us. Dunsmuir's asked us about it. Weed has been asking. Wairika showed some interest.
Lake
Just
Shastina.
it's on everyone's radar. They're paying attention. They're curious. Because they're thinking this looks like a pathway to some solutions that work. So they're looking to us so that we can lead the way with our ordinance and give them something they can work with. So now that all these other places are coming forward, I guess the city decided it was time to make those little corrections, especially since last year there was a change in just the language. Now it's not tiny houses on wheels, it's movable tiny homes. There's little things like that that happen. And then just a few small places where
Yeah.
some clarification would be useful, some swaps of the what's included and what's not included. The general idea is to try to make it as simple as possible, as affordable and accessible as possible,
As quick as
and as
possible.
least restrictive as possible in a way that still is safe
Safe.
home, safe construction, the right snow load to work for our environment here.
Fire
Yeah, fire
resistance.
resistance, ADA compliant, right? So that,
Affordable.
yeah, and affordable. So trying to put all those things together and just trying to come up with the best possible version. So the Kim, the city planner, gave me a
Shout out to
call.
Kim.
Yeah, Kim's awesome. Kim gave me a call and she said, "Hey, I'm so swamped with things. I'm working really hard. We would like to have a roundtable meeting with the people who are, kind of experts, and then the people that are interested parties in this ordinance, so that we can make it the best we possibly can so that it works for the people." um, and so she asked if I would just go ahead and bring together a group of people, that we could have this meeting and hash out all the most important points. So yeah, I reached out to our friends at Forever Tiny Homes. I reached out to another local builder friend of ours.
Arlene and Dom.
Yeah.
Shot them all the way out.
Okay.
Forever Tiny Homes.
Yeah.
Reading. Cottonwood.
Yeah.
Awesome peeps.
Yeah. I
Who
was
else?
trying to keep it less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, Shane, he's our
Big
local
Shane the
builder
dog.
in McLeod.
McLeod.
He's more, I guess, boutique builder. He only builds a few, like
Local.
one every couple months. Very custom and very focused on environmentally friendly tiny homes. So very niche, but he has a lot of good feedback. So I definitely wanted to get input
Shout
from
out to
him.
Shaner.
So thank you for Shane for pointing out some specific details that we want to make sure were addressed
For sure.
properly. We brought in some of our friends who own land out in the county where they're interested in building a tiny home community. So I want to make sure that they were properly represented and that they could bring their questions from their viewpoint, as well as they're actively working with the city of Weed to bring our ordinance
Very
there
active.
next. They have a presentation coming up. So I want to make sure they were involved in the conversation, to give their feedback, and also for them to be able to learn as much as possible about the ordinance and about the process so that they can bring the right information forward to the
And the city
city.
of Weed is probably one of the
Mhm.
lowest hanging fruits to be next.
They're really
They're
interested.
really
Yeah.
almost the next, very next
Um,
step.
and then we had our friend, our volunteer Patricia. She's retiree.
Patricia.
She's on a fixed income. She also has some mobility issues. So we really wanted to have
Elder.
someone from that viewpoint coming into the conversation to ask the right questions from someone who's looking for a tiny home for very specific needs, for downsizing,
Downsizing
for having
elders.
something affordable, for having something that's accessible when you have mobility issues.
Social Security.
Yeah, so making sure that she was able to ask the right questions
Incomes.
and bringing that viewpoint to the table. We had our friend Dan, who is
Big
the
Dan.
president of the tiny home industry
Writes all the
association.
ordinances for all the
He's
cities.
the expert that wrote the ordinance, so we had him at
He's
the
been doing
meeting.
this a long time.
We had our city inspector, Lance.
Big
Yeah,
Lance.
so he was there, of course, to answer specific questions and for us to bounce ideas back and forth. Like, would it work if we did this type of hookups instead of that type of hookups? Or would this type of foundation material be suitable and safe? And so having him involved obviously is really critical because he's the one that has to sign off
Absolutely.
on things. So him being able to say, yeah, this would work, that would not work, this, I'm curious if you have more information on another municipality that's used something like that, send me info, I'll look at it.
Right.
So he's
He's
really,
very receptive.
yeah, very receptive to finding out more information and seeing how we can make this as accessible as possible for everyone.
I appreciate his expertise
Hmm.
because he's seen every kind of housing style and what works and definitely what does not work.
Yeah.
And so he brought that depth in, and then he was very receptive on how to make this work. So he just asked for everybody send me emails
Yeah.
of everything
Yeah.
that you guys got. I'm gonna look
So I
at
can
it
start
so
digging in. Yeah.
I can really get with this thing,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, he wants to know how he can help make it work. So he's going to look
That
and
is so
take in the
huge.
information and see what the best options are going to be that work for our specific location
Right, the
and what
snow
our need.
load.
Yeah,
It's very specific to
it
our
is.
location.
And then we had Jen.
Big Jan.
Yeah, she has land here. She has a home here in the city, and she has a little bit of acreage. She's looking to put a tiny home as an ADU, as a housing for her adult child who has some special needs. And so she brings that viewpoint to the table with someone who maybe is only just looking to add one on their property,
Right.
but also that is a specific need, people that need a place where there can be a caregiver nearby for someone who has a need to have someone to help them.
Yep.
So, and she's also really great. She's got a background in SOPs, writing SOPs for businesses. So she's going through and helping us create a guide for the community to make it an easy step by step. And especially because she's one of the first ones going through this process. So she's really good at pointing out the questions of it's confusing when you get to this part. What does it mean to do this versus if we do it this way? And she's going to help us take the steps and help write out a guide.
Which will help everybody.
It's going to help everybody.
Countywide.
So she's connected with Kim now, so they're going to make sure they get a nice little resource together for everybody. Everyone's really playing their part. They're coming in, and they're working really hard together to bring this forward and to make it as clean and clear. Any chances we have to maybe switch something or steer it another direction to open up possibilities to make it more affordable, more fire resistant would be great. Just streamlining the pathway, making it as easy as we can. Everyone really cares, and they're putting in a lot of time and effort to make something that's going to help the whole community.
Once we get this ordinance through, it should be happening hopefully by the end of this month we have a meeting,
Hmm.
and then we have to go back to first city council first reading. 30 days later, second reading. Keep our fingers crossed that maybe in about 3 to 4 months, that would be a miracle.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
miracle
yeah.
if we pull it off in 3 to 4 months.
We have to do a little more research to pull in the data and finalize a few more details. Then she can put in
Right.
the
Still,
draft for the amendments. It has to go through planning commission and get approval there first, and then it can go to city council, and it has to go first and second read. So yeah,
still a
so
process, but
it's still process.
so everybody that's in the sound of our voice that is here for alternative affordable housing for our elders to downsize into
Mhm.
and live the best last decade or two of their
Mhm.
best life here in Mount Shasta,
Mhm.
and or elementary, high school, and college in Weed, and our kids' future that have no future because the average house here is 500,000. The average house in Wairika is 450. The average everything else is maybe 350, 250 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Somewhere, I don't know where, but somewhere. Um, when a tiny house on wheels is 100 grand all in, with a 5 to 15 year note, with infrastructure that we know that we can get, with land that we know we're attracting already, it becomes a logical, practical, real way to set up something that can last the test of time.
Mhm.
On another